the end of last season when the Patriots needed to win. Got to give Brian Flores so much credit. Beginning of last year, we were saying, we were literally asking, we weren't the only ones on TV, is this the worst NFL team of all time? And they had quit, right? And by the end of the season, they beat the Patriots in a game the Patriots really need to have. And then they start with Fitzpatrick, and they look good, and they make the choice to go with Tua before they play the Los Angeles Rams with Aaron Donald. And by the way, the Rams were coming off a very impressive win against the Bears, a Bears team that had just beaten the Bucs, right? Like, let's not forget this. Miami's beaten them. Miami's won, what is it now, 4 in a row? Mm-hmm. They are a good football team, and they're beating good teams. They beat Arizona, a second-place team, obviously above 500. I just mentioned the Rams above 500. The 49ers, let's not forget, when they played the Niners were a winning team. The Jets, never mind, but at least as a divisional team. But as Stephen A. would say, a bye. But otherwise, 3 successful winning plus 500 teams, and they're beating them impressively. Tua is a guy, really the first quarterback there since Marino, that has elevated the Miami Dolphins in the public consciousness right now for the first time in decades and decades to really a national team. Marino created a lot of national Dolphins fans. You have some teams other than just the Cowboys and Steelers and the Patriots because of what they've done in recent years where the football fans want them to be a national team, but you got to show them something. The Raiders are like that. The Dolphins are like that. And now they're in the public consciousness. And the reason they moved to Tua was not just for the future, right? Like, you want to see what you got there. But because they knew, had the talent to be the guy on their offense. Is anyone thinking about Fitzpatrick right now? No. They have the talent. They're 5-3. They don't really have any really tough games coming up. The Chargers, it's fun because of Herbert, but the Chargers figure out ways to lose. The Broncos, Drew Lock look good, but that's not a formidable team. The Jets again, the Bengals, again, interesting because of Joe Burrow, the Tua Burrow matchup, Stephen A., but nothing to write home about. They don't have a tough game until the Chiefs. They could have 7 straight wins before they play the Chiefs. So, yeah, I would say, look, if they win a playoff game, that's amazing, right? And if they don't make the playoffs, okay, there are signs for hope. But if you want to call this season a success at this point, they have to make the playoffs.
They got playmakers on defense. Stephen A.?
Yep. I don't think they have to make the playoffs to have a successful season. I think they just need to have a winning season. When you look at the rest of the AFC, Buffalo playing the way that they're playing, Baltimore and Pittsburgh doing what they're doing, obviously Tennessee in the South, and you still can't dismiss the Indianapolis Colts, even though they lost yesterday. You've got the West with Kansas City. The Las Vegas Raiders are coming. I think when you look at the Miami Dolphins, they're ahead of schedule. And let me, again, give props where props is due. An African-American GM in the National Football League, and Chris Greer, an African-American head coach in Brian Flores, who's doing an absolutely outstanding job. They've got the 28th ranked offense in terms of their running game, the 28th ranked running game in the National Football League. We know that their offense struggles because of that, but defensively, they're the 4th ranked defense in the National Football League in terms of points allowed. Now, they're 21st against the pass, they're like 25th against the rush. They're 22 in yards allowed, so they bend a lot because they got a lot of young dudes, but they don't necessarily break in terms of allowing you to get into that end zone, and that's a testament to Brian Flores and what he's been able to put together. When you look at the draft picks, when you look at the moves that they have made, when you look at the move to put Tua Tagovailoa in the starting lineup, and then you see the way that he performed yesterday, connecting on 20 or 28 passes, showing escapability with that 17-yard scamper that he had after escaping from the pocket. Some of the accurate throws that he put forth, particularly in the second half. And then you think about the noise that was taking place when they elected to bench Ryan Fitzpatrick. You know why they benched Ryan Fitzpatrick? Because they said, hey, you know what? We know that right now at this particular moment in time, he might be the better quarterback. He's got us at 3-3. We're looking relatively decent, but there's a ceiling with Ryan Fitzpatrick. We don't believe there's a ceiling with this kid. This kid can do some things. And after playing the role of spectator at the quarterback position in his first game last week against the Los Angeles Rams, what does he do? He comes out there yesterday and he shows the accuracy. He showed some of the things that he showed at Alabama, why Justin Herbert and then what are even considered in his class. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, the fact that there's an upside that's taking place before our very eyes, even though we know how much work they have to do on the offensive side side of the ball, and pretty much overall, the personnel that you already have in place, the coaching decisions that you've made, the willingness for the coach to establish a culture the way that he did last year when he was willing to move parts and he was willing to make this move, willing to bench Ryan Fitzpatrick this year in place of Tagovailoa. I look at all of those things right now, and I say the Miami Dolphins are ahead of schedule. You can't nosedive and just finish like, 7-9 or whatever, but last year they were 5-11. Half the way through the season, they already have 5 victories. If the Miami Dolphins go 9-7 or 10-6 and still don't make the playoffs, we'll still look at them and say, wow, what a successful season, and they're on the come up.
We'll say they're on the right track. For me to say that's a really successful season, and in fact, I mean, like if they won a playoff game, you're over the moon if you're a Dolphins fan. And I know a lot of them, right? But if you make the playoffs, you say, okay, unqualified success. Look at their schedule, Stephen A. Chargers,
I just did.
Broncos, Jets, and Bengals. Now, if they went 4-0, you can't take things for granted, but they'll be favored in all of those games, right? Now when you get the Chiefs, Patriots, Raiders, and and Bills, if they go 2-2, if they went 4-0 and then 2-2, that's an 11-win season. But figure they'll go 3-1 in those first 4 games, right? Because you lose a game you're supposed to win somewhere in there. If they just go 3-1, which is more or less what they're supposed to do, and then split the last 4 games, that's a double-digit win season. That's 10 wins, and that may be enough to make the playoffs. And especially with the last game of the season against the Bills.
That's not
the right. So the right decision to go with Tua. Yeah, go ahead, Stephen A.
It was the right. I think it was the right decision. I didn't like the fact that he was put in against the Rams as his first game, but I didn't know that Jared Goff was going to stick up the joint with 4 turnovers in the first half. So that definitely helped him tremendously. All I'm saying is that regardless of their schedule and what have you in the winnable games, when you look at the young talent that they have on their roster with all the moves that they've made, they're ahead of schedule. We did not expect the Miami Dolphins to be in the mix. They are right now, and we can appreciate that. But if you end up missing the playoffs, but you win 9 to 10 games, there's still a lot of optimism. They're they're trending in the right direction, as you would say. All I'm saying is that means they had a successful season.
I think they played them against the
expectations.
Rams. I think they played them against the Rams because they have real playoff ambition right now. I love them playing against the Rams and Aaron Donald because after you see Aaron Donald coming at you, you adjust to that. You're going to be all right. Yeah. And I saw him take a licking on that first play of the game against Los Angeles, get body slammed and everything. Aaron Donald coming at him, and he got up, and I was very impressed with the guts he showed in that game. And he led his team to victory, even though he didn't pass for a lot of yards and all that stuff. He gave them what they needed, managed the game. Once you get that monkey off your back, like once you get past that hurdle, I think the rest is going to